This is the Analysing Anfield podcast on the Blood Red channel, bringing you the best tactical and statistical analysis of Liverpool FC.
Hello everybody and welcome to this week's episode of Analysing Anfield. My name's Josh Williams and I'm rejoined by David Hughes. How you doing, mate?
Yeah, very good, thank you, mate.
Yeah, Christian stood in for you last week.
Yeah.
And I'm going to mention it immediately. He predicted a 4-0 win over Atletico Madrid. Obviously it didn't happen. So I'm glad to have you back by my side.
Yeah, I won't be predicting those crazy 4-0 scorelines.
Yeah, I think he had too much sugar before the episode, to be honest. But anyway, it still feels very fresh. We are recording the morning after the night before. So we usually get a couple of days to reassess the match and things like that. But this feels like a post-game pod, really, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does, yeah.
So we're going to have a little look at how the Atletico game went. Obviously, Liverpool suffered a defeat. And we're going to look at Norwich, the match that we previewed last week. We're going to actually avoid West Ham this week because we previewed them what feels like about a week ago, about 2 weeks ago. They've played one time since against Brighton, 3-3 it was. So it's virtually as is in that regard, so we're not going to talk about them. So it might be a little bit of a shorter pod this week. We'll see how we go with that. But Norwich anyway. I think we tried to initially paint the picture of a team that is 20th in the table, but at the same time they can compete, can't they? They can remain competitive between both boxes. They're quite well drilled, well coached and stuff like that. They just haven't really got the quality maybe to deliver at both ends. And it was probably a little bit tighter actually than we thought, at least in terms of the overall result and the overall score. And obviously it was a 1-0 win in the end, wasn't it?
Yeah, and the goal obviously comes quite late in the day. Was it 70 odd minutes?
Something like that, yeah.
Yeah, so yeah, fair play to Norwich. Norwich is a strange one actually because although they're bottom of the league, those sides tend to be a bit dull and painful to watch, and Norwich is still quite fun to watch, aren't they? I'll be honest, I was a little bit surprised that they held Liverpool to a goal draw up until late on before obviously Mane scores. I think 1-0 is definitely nothing to be ashamed of when you're playing top of the league. Yeah, they did a little bit better than I expected, I'll be honest.
Yeah, I mean, as I said, they were competitive, but despite that, if you actually look at the numbers beneath the surface, it looks like a dominant Liverpool win, really. So I think it shows that even when you keep things relatively tight against Liverpool tend to just generate enough output really to actually decide the match. 64% possession and 17 shots to 5. The expected goals on the day 2.2 for Liverpool and 0.5 for Norwich. So obviously that suggests a fairly comfortable win, a 2-0 win maybe, something like that.
Am I right in saying though that it's unlikely that the XG would have awarded anything for that chance where Alisson kind of parries it or scoops it away in the first half? Because that was a huge chance, that. Yeah,
that's true. If I was recording that, I don't think I'd personally label that as a shot, to be honest.
Yeah, because no shot actually goes off, but that was some fantastic goalkeeping again, wasn't it?
Yeah, it's bossing situations, isn't it?
Yeah, that's it. Just so calm in those moments where other keepers might panic or... I think you've just hit the nail on the head, actually, just bossing the situation. Yeah, that was a big chance, and obviously Alisson kept Liverpool in it, 0-0 really.
Yeah, but I must say, I think beyond that, although Norwich competed and Liverpool didn't actually break through until late on, I think that Liverpool generally restricted Norwich to virtually nothing. Just trying to get up the actual shot map now, but I think that any shots that Norwich did have were from distance. Off
the top of my head, I'm sure there was none inside the box, or maybe 1 or 2.
Yeah, there was a Grant Hanley header.
Oh, okay.
I think I remember that. That was quite late on, 73rd minute from a corner. And a few shots that are a little bit wide, maybe, but not. I mean, the Alexander Teti chance was mad, wasn't it? Did you see that one?
Yeah.
Shot from outside the box, completely almost by a corner flag, and hit the post somehow. But when I looked into the numbers after the match, doing the analysis and things like that. One thing I registered in my own head watching the match was Liverpool seemed to be entering the final third less, and we seemed to be, our passing lanes felt as though they were getting cut off and things like that, and we generally struggled to keep pressure in the final third of the pitch. But then when I looked at the numbers, it went completely against that. So
yeah,
it's all season. It's the second most attempts Liverpool have made to actually find the final third in a match. The only time we've done it more is Newcastle at home, Newcastle at Anfield. But beyond that, Liverpool actually broke the 100 passes mark towards the final third, which I was just a bit surprised by after the game.
Yeah, no, I agree. I had to look at something similar, and Liverpool completed 13 passes within 20 yards of Norwich's goal, and the average normally around 11. So yeah, it maybe the eyes were fooling us a little bit with this one, but I don't know. I think Norwich, as we already touched on, they did a good job of cutting out the passing lanes and just making it really difficult, and sometimes that can impact what you remember from the game, doesn't it, a little bit? But I still think they did defend fairly well, I'll be honest, for a side that seems to concede quite a lot of goals this season.
Yeah, I mean, I've just mentioned that about the passes into the final third there. It did take a significant boost in the second half, I will say that. So I think obviously they breached the 100 mark overall, but I think in the first half it was only around the 40s. I think in the second half we then hit, in and around about 60 passes.
Yeah.
And obviously if you look at the expected goals timeline as well, Liverpool in the first half offered virtually nothing. RXG at half time I think was about 0.4, and obviously it ends at 2.2. So it was just we keep saying it, don't we, every week, but the whole game of two halves thing.
Yeah. Although what I will say is Norwich sat so deep in that first half, like they gave Liverpool next to no space. Their PPDA averaged out at just under 27, but in the second half it goes to just over 15. So it seems like they come out a little bit more in the second half, which obviously played into Liverpool's hands and give them a little bit more space to manoeuvre and carve open chances.
Yeah, I mean, it felt like a lot of our passing early on was just generally quite safe, sideways, a little bit sterile, and we were hitting long passes, the long passes that we used to gain territory in the pitch. We was hitting them when the situations weren't really calling for that.
A bit of an over-reliance on them at times, you think?
Yeah, but also just poor timing with them, I think. And it resulted in us failing to sustain pressure in their half for long periods like we did in the second half. But I think with that being the case, one thing I've thought this week, including the Atletico game, I seem that's so machine-like Liverpool, so functional. Do you think that it's possible for a winter break to almost hinder your rhythm? Klopp talks a lot about rhythm with players, getting certain players' rhythm back into the team and things like that. And I think for the whole team to have a week or a 2 week break or whatever it was, and then to all restart again, it's no surprise to me, considering that we've played 180 minutes of football, found a net once. It's just
a little bit more disjointed.
Yeah, just a little bit. I'm talking minute.
Yeah, because I do think that comes into it. Things like, I can't think of a better term than muscle memory. You're just doing the same actions week in, week out. You get into a flow. You've got your understanding with players. Fitness is at its best, and then you take this break. It kind of disrupts it. We don't really like to use age-old cliches, but you hear commentary talking about how I bet they wish they had another game 3 days later or a week later rather than having a 2 week break. It is true. It does disrupt the flow, and when you think of how well oiled Liverpool have been over the season, and we expected December to be a really difficult period where they had a lot of games and they'd start feeling fatigued, and that's where you'd see the odd bad performance. But in reality, if I look back on the season, I don't think Liverpool looked better than they did in December, when they had game after game after game. They just looked really sharp. They looked like everything was just flowing perfectly. And then I think these little breaks just disrupt the rhythm of how they're playing. And
Yeah, I think the word that comes to mind for me is, the intangible concept of momentum sort of thing. Liverpool were just, as I said, machine like. Every single match, you just find a way to win and that sort of thing. And although we did find a way to win against Norwich, and considering how the Atletico game went, it just feels as though we've, I don't know, just a little bit trying to restore that what we had before the break, basically.
Yeah, I agree.
Just a quick word on the goal. Obviously, Sadio Mane made the difference after coming on. I thought he looked really sharp when he came on. But there was a few moments before that where Salah got into dangerous areas, and I felt he was hindered at the time because of the reliance he places on his left foot. And I think when Mane comes on, the goal, I'm pretty sure he takes it down with his right and finishes with his left. I think it's absolutely massive for players in the modern day to be two-footed.
Yeah, I agree.
That's one massive advantage I think Mane has over Salah.
Yeah. Well, I actually do prefer Mane to Salah, if I'm being brutally honest. I do, and I understand why everybody loves Salah. Salah's fantastic, but I do think Mane's a little bit more unpredictable on the ball, whereas Salah sometimes can look a little bit... Am I being harsh saying one-dimensional sometimes? Like I feel with Salah, you know more what he's going to do when he stands to play. But whereas Mane, to me, just seems to be able to... He's just really unpredictable. But that's just my opinion. I definitely don't want any abuse over it. But just on that, I know we talked loads about long balls, but I'm convinced that Liverpool's attackers have been working on bringing the ball down from
the sky.
From the sky, yeah. I'm convinced. Look, I think it may have been against Norwich actually. Firmino has one where it comes down and he takes down really well.
Yeah, that would have been a great goal.
But how many times have we seen that this season where a lot of the ball's gone towards the box and they've managed to take it down, hold off defenders and get a shot off before it's even hit the ground a lot of the time? I think it's definitely something they're working on. We know that they're playing more long balls than ever. Most long balls this season. I think they were ranked 10th 2 seasons ago, so they're obviously playing more long balls, and I assume to do so the attackers are working on bringing them down. Yeah,
no, I agree with you there, yeah. Just one little note on what you've mentioned earlier there, from an Everton perspective, if you can have one of Salah or Mane for the rest of the campaign, who would you take?
Yeah, Mane.
Mane, yeah.
Yeah, I think... I just think Mane can be unplayable, and Salah does score big goals. He's strong. He is a good dribbler. Look, Salah's world class, simple as, but we're just talking about 2 world class players here, and I prefer Mane personally. I think Mane over the past 12 months or so has been almost unplayable in most games.
Yeah. Sticking with the Norwich team, just before we move on, one Norwich related thing that has emerged since the match is links with Todd Cantwell. 30 million. Remains to be seen whether they're absolutely accurate at the minute. But from your perspective, I think firstly, do they make sense? I mean, what were your general thoughts when you saw it?
Yeah, it does, yeah. He's versatile. I like him. He seems a really good player. He's young. He fits in with the kind of philosophy of Liverpool, I guess. But there's a but. Yeah, I just think. Okay, I've looked at him a few times, and the most recent time I looked at him, I was just having a look at his chances created. Now, you may have seen it. There's an account out there that looks at the brackets other 14 sides in the Premier League, and the basis is they just eliminate the top 6 and look at players from the other 14, just because obviously a lot of the time the top 6 dominate rankings in set metrics because they're playing in the better sides. Yeah. So this is an idea just to see who's doing well and other teams in the league. So I was having a look at Cantwell in there in terms of chances created without set pieces. Where would you think he ranked? I assume you'd have him fairly high.
Yeah, when you say chances created, are you talking about shots assisted?
Yeah, just basically, yeah.
Yeah, okay. See, it's difficult because I know his shot assisted by 90.
Fine, okay.
But
So
I know what you're saying. Like, I'll play along. I would expect him to create chances, because that's what his... Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly that.
I know exactly what you're saying.
I was probably asking the wrong person, to be honest. But he ranked 11th for chances created without set pieces this season, and that's out of the other, the other 14 sides. So that's not including the basically top players in the division. If you include them, he's probably ranking somewhere between 20th and 30th. Like, it's good, but is it Liverpool good? I think he definitely has a chance to progress to be as a top player at a side like Liverpool, but I don't know, 30 million just doesn't seem great business. And then I expect a few clubs to be sniffing around. It could make his value increase, and does it become a little bit of a bidding war? I don't know. I'm not convinced.
Yeah, I know what you're saying. I think I'm a little bit split with this one. Sometimes Liverpool will link with a player, and you immediately know why they're linked, because we obviously know Liverpool are very data focused, and there's certain signs that Liverpool have made that are just very clearly data players, if you like. Mohamed Salah comes to mind, Naby Keita comes to mind, players like that. Todd Cantwell is not a data player. That's one of the reasons I'm inclined to slightly disbelieve the rumour. His numbers throughout the course of the season, they're okay. That's how I'd describe them. Just they're fine. There's nothing wrong with them, but he's not really an outlier in any area, really. On that shots assisted thing that I've just mentioned, when I checked in the Premier League this season, he's assisting about one shot a match, about one shot per 90. So that's not great. No. It's not terrible, but it's not the kind of thing that would stand out to you. However, he's English. He's homegrown. We are losing Adam Lallana in the summer. James Milner's now 34. Henderson's 29, I think. And I don't think you can... What's the word? I don't think you can overestimate what the impact of Brexit might be on transfers and squads in the Premier League. And I know certain clubs, for example, Brighton come to mind, are already planning for that. Just getting it, like they got is it Lamptey from Chelsea? Yeah, for a free transfer. Yeah, English homegrown player, I think. And they're making efforts in that department, just so that, because if the Premier League do eventually release regulations or whatever it may be, can you imagine how much Cantwell would cost after that rule had been enforced? He'd probably double. Yeah. So the best thing in the short term before that happens would be to plan ahead for that, basically, and start almost stockpiling English talent, players with high ceilings that you can then develop. And obviously, I think is he 21?
It might even be just 20. I might be wrong though. Let me check.
So yeah, I think Cantwell, you have to maybe look.
Yeah, no, he is just turned 21. Just coming up to 22. Sorry.
Yeah. But I don't know. He's the type of player that I think you have to maybe look beyond the numbers with this one and look at what he clearly offers on the pitch. He's clearly a technically good player. Clearly got a lot of work rates about him. Plays a good deal of minutes and things like that. Premier League experience despite his age. Little bit lightweight. Not the quickest, although he is, relatively mobile, I suppose.
Would you be as interested if he wasn't English though?
No, absolutely not.
Yeah. So if the Brexit thing, I'd have to be honest, I'm not educated enough on it. I don't know what the implications are going to be on it. But without that factor, you think no?
I'd think no. Yeah.
Okay.
I'm trying to look at why that rumour would make sense, and I think there's no way we would be in for a player like that for 30 million unless he offered something else. Yeah. And that's why I'm considering
it could be
the impact of Brexit, and stockpiling English players and stuff like that, and catering for the eventual departure of the likes of Jordan Henderson, James Milner, and obviously Adam Lallana is rumoured to be going in the summer. Yeah, you need to start building a squad that's capable of meeting these regulations. Obviously, we've got Curtis Jones in the wings. He's English, obviously, Scouser. Nico Williams as well. Welsh, I think he is. But, you know, it's just an interesting note that I thought I'd make. One player that I do think meets the numbers criteria, which me and Chris talked about last week, would be Buendia.
Yeah.
Buendia would be the player that shows up as, okay, he's a data player.
Yeah.
He's got output to his game. He's clearly going to impact things.
And when you watch him as well, you see, you know, his intelligent movement, good positional awareness and stuff. Yeah, he does fit the bill. I think he's a good player. I'll be surprised if he's still at Norwich beyond this summer. Yeah,
same. The only difference is, well, there's a few differences actually. A, Cantwell is younger. B, he's homegrown. C, he's English. And D, his contract runs out in 2 years. Whereas Buendia signed a new deal in the summer, just gone. All those things come into the recruitment. So, you know, you never know, I suppose. But we'll move on anyway. You got your violin there. Atletico Madrid.
I haven't seen you cut up about a game like this. But then again, Liverpool win every week, so why would you be? But
no, I must admit, this is the most down I've felt about a result in a long time, and it's because, I suppose it's because of the implications of it. It's a difficult one to come back from this, although it's only a 1-0 loss. I think it's safe to say, though, I think we called this one fairly accurately. It went for me exactly as I expected it to go. The only difference being, I didn't actually think Atletico would manage to nick a goal, but they did, which makes it even worse. Yeah, that was it literally, in terms of playing them, it couldn't have gone any worse. Yeah, conceding early against that side. But you know what? We took some stick when this draw got announced about saying how tough this game was going to be for Liverpool, and you know, if anyone wants to send an apology, like, by all means do it, because it was probably Liverpool's toughest game, and they are such a tough side to go and play away at. Well, I mean, I've got an answer to that in a little bit, that I think away from home they're not as good, but we'll come on to that in a bit. But yeah, I have to agree, it's how I expected it to go. Although, with that being said, if Liverpool would have scored 1 or 2, that wouldn't have really surprised me, and kept a clean sheet, just because how good Liverpool been this year. Yeah. At the time of the actual draw, I remember tweeting, that is a terrible draw for Liverpool. That was my observation on it. Just, obviously, I appreciated Liverpool were very, very good. That goes without saying. But I think out of all the teams we could have drawn, this is a team that could stay in the tie until the very end. The fact they've now got a lead is even more concerning. Do you think it's a blow that Liverpool didn't get an away goal? Yeah, it's huge. That's something we've... I mean, the only time I think we haven't done that under Klopp is Barca, yeah. Obviously, I'm excluding the Europa League there. We didn't do it at Villarreal either. Got beat 1-0 over at Villarreal, and then when they came to Anfield, we beat them 3-0, I think. But yeah, just, I don't know. I just think it's going to be a tricky one. It's going to be a really difficult one. It's going to go exactly as we thought it would go, to be honest. In terms of, I think it's going to be a 180-minute tie. But the expected goals on the day anyway was 0.8 to Atletico and 0.5 to Liverpool. Obviously, there's very, very little in that. And that's just what Atletico do. They find a way of nicking a goal, whether that be a sloppy, taking advantage of something sloppy, whether that be a set piece, an own goal, a penalty. They're just a results machine. They always have been under Simeone. Well, their 2 best chances was the goal, obviously, which is a bit of a mess up from the corner, and then probably Morata's chance, which comes from a rare... I don't want to say... I think mistake's a little bit harsh, but it was a misplaced header by Van Dijk is probably a better way to label it. And he then creates a chance off that as well. But I must admit, I thought Van Dijk was a little bit less efficient than usual, and that's judging him based on his massive standards. Yeah, I'm just going based on what I see of him every single week. He's just so assured in everything that he does, every single thing. And this time around, just, I don't know, certain things were weren't perfect, which
like
sounds
the clearance
mad,
that goes for the corner for the goal and that kind of stuff. Yeah,
certain headers going to opposing players rather than to Liverpool players, and I don't know.
I get it.
Maybe I'm being a bit harsh.
No, yeah, I think that's it. He gets a pass for me just because.
Yeah, of course.
Even that standard last night was still good. It's just, as you said, with lofty height, it's easy to spot any sort of marginal drop in performance, I guess. Yeah.
So from an Atletico perspective, they turned up as expected. So 4-4-2, very, very narrow. They saw 23% of the ball in the end. 7 shots overall. I think virtually all of those came from about 40 yards. Thomas Partey, I think, had a shot from his own half at one point. But they had 2 on target. And the 2 on target were, I think, inside the 6-yard box. Obviously, Sol's goal and the Manata chance was very, very close to goal. Yeah. So that is literally all they need. And, you know, I wanted to paint the picture of this is a team that is still in the same mould of the Atletico we know, but the difference is this season they're not taking those chances that they get.
Yeah, they're underperforming against the expected goals, aren't they? Quite a lot.
But this time they actually did. They obviously took the first chance. I must say, on that set piece goal, we were really unlucky. That's just the type of thing that can just. It's one of them.
No, it is, isn't it? Mate? I mean, it's bounced right into their path. You know, he could have been another. If it was another centimetre, he would have been offside. Just things that the tangibles that kind of went their way in that moment, I thought. But yeah, that everything you just said there, that's just what they are, aren't they? Sitting deep 4-4-2. You know, they'll let you have. Well, Liverpool have plenty of territory in their half. Traditionally, that's quite a positive thing, but it doesn't faze them one bit, does it? They tend to do most of their ball recovery in their own third or around the middle of the park, and that's what they're comfortable with, and then they'll just look to break out on the counter. Yeah,
stay in the tie was what their overall goal will have been, basically, and I think they've clearly done that, and taking a 1-0 lead to Anfield, I think they're going to be in the tie until the very end. I think it's going to be. I don't think Liverpool are going to blow them away. That doesn't feel like that anyway. But yeah, within the 4-4-2 that they had, they blocked the centre of the pitch, similar to how Liverpool usually do, actually. But whenever Liverpool's full-back to assume possession, so whenever Trent got the ball in his usual areas, or Robertson got the ball in the usual areas, they made deliberate movements to close those players down. Obviously, they appreciate the attacking capabilities of those two. And it seems to largely nullify Liverpool. I thought Liverpool in attack were disappointing.
Yeah. It felt to me at times, say with the likes of Trent, that they weren't maybe used to that pressure. There's a few times I thought Trent was a little bit wasteful with his crosses.
Yeah, I think another player as well. I think Henderson in particular was obviously the fact he's being pressurised in small spaces. Just a few passes were a little bit misplaced and lacked accuracy, and you could tell sometimes he got the ball and rather than putting his foot on it and looking up and making a forward pass, he'd anticipate pressure, so he'd immediately play a safe pass backwards. Whereas maybe if you've got someone who's a bit more confident on the ball, like a Naby Keita in that moment, maybe he assumes possession and is a bit more positive with it in certain moments. So
yeah, because what we will say is, even though Atletico Madrid aren't a pressing side in the sense that they'll press you in your defensive third, they're very aggressive in their own defensive third and in their own half, aren't they? So there isn't a lot of space on the ball, and they are very much in your face when you're in their half. And it did seem like Liverpool, who probably aren't that used to that, I'd say. You don't see a lot of that really in the Premier League.
No, it's like a deep line of engagement, isn't it? But once you actually do engage, it's full throttle.
Yeah, exactly. And there's just a few Liverpool players I thought last night struggled a little bit with it.
So 8 shots on in total for Liverpool on the day, none on target. The second time that's happened under Jurgen Klopp, only the second time.
251 games.
Yeah,
that's crazy.
The other time, ironically, was against Napoli, who, you know, they're another team that we tend to struggle against. So obviously doesn't bode particularly well. I must say though that if the Salah shot doesn't get blocked, the Salah shot from inside the box, I do think that's hitting the top corner. I do think that's going. Yeah, I think that's being scored. But other than that, we generally didn't create very much at all. I do think that this was Liverpool perceived to be this wonderful attacking team and stuff like that, but I think Liverpool's defence is massive. Liverpool's defence is everything. And I think this was the two best defences in Europe facing off. And I think it's massive whoever takes a lead.
Yeah.
In that scenario, that's that kind of tie. You just have to take the lead. And Liverpool are so good at taking the lead and so good at, eradicating any mistakes that may come into the match. I was really surprised when we went down. It was
Liverpool can do their own version of what Atletico Madrid have been doing for years, I think. How many times have I said on the air? I think Liverpool could be a fantastic side sitting in a low block. And it shows by how many games Liverpool have won 1-0 by small margins, by taking the lead, as you said, and just seeing the game out. So I don't actually think Liverpool get enough credit. They are an English version of what Atletico Madrid are. It's just Liverpool have a much better attack. Which sometimes steals the limelight from the defence, I think. Which is why after conceding after 4 minutes was an absolute nightmare. It was a disaster of a start. And people were saying there's plenty of time left and things, but against this side it's tough.
I did think there was plenty of time left, but we just never looked likely. We never looked particularly likely. Anytime we entered the penalty box in particular, they were just like dogs at our feet.
Yeah.
It was you got no space, no time at all. Just a really difficult team to generate chances against. And I think last week when I was speaking with Christian, I mentioned to him that I'd expected their expected goals per shot against to be really, really low. And I actually got it up, checked it, and they've got the best expected goals per shot against in the whole of Europe.
Oh, after the all top 5?
Yeah. When I checked, at least, which means that the average shot that they tend to face just is very hard to score. Basically,
like a really low quality.
Yeah, difficult match. It was Liverpool's lowest PPDA of the season, though. So obviously, it suggests that we pressed like monsters, really.
Yeah,
but I think that stems from us going down very early. Basically, Liverpool's PPDA for the match was 3.9, which means we allowed 3.9 passes on average before we looked to make a defensive action. So it was virtually all Liverpool, really. Yeah, but
that kind of fits what we were saying earlier, doesn't it? That obviously they'll do the Atletico Madrid will do the bulk of their ball recovery in their own half, and Liverpool's will be desperate to try and maintain territory. So the minute the ball's turned over, they'll be looking to win it back straight away. But I don't think that would have phased Atletico Madrid, to be honest. I think they would have expected it.
As I said, the actual performance of the match, which we try to focus on this show, went exactly as I expected. I expected Liverpool to dominate the ball, and I expected Atletico to sit in for large periods before occasionally trying to counter-attack or using a set piece. That's exactly how it went. It just Liverpool conceding that early goal was a shock to the system, I think, and just completely against the actual game plan. I think we'll have went into it wanting to control any game state to ensure that we take any lead, sort of thing, and it just hasn't really went that way.
No.
One thing we usually do on this show, though, where I absolutely hate when people use the referee as an excuse. I hate it. We never talk about the referees on this show for that reason. You should place the emphasis on yourselves to do the job, basically. Shouldn't rely on favours. But I thought he was awful. It was honestly a horrible performance from the referee.
It wasn't great. He he got sucked into everything, didn't he, really?
He was just terrible. He was honestly... He gave a foul for Salah in near the corner flag.
Yeah.
Just completely wasn't a foul.
Yeah.
The linesman was right there. Linesman didn't give it. He booked Joe Gomez for...
I know the one.
Yeah, just completely unnecessary booking. They just weren't a booking. Give them a throw-in in the lead up to the goal, which wasn't their throw-in.
Yeah, didn't even look like it, did it?
No.
Like it was clear it would come off, but...
Late in the match, Oxlade-Chamberlain's driving forward. Their man handballs it. He plays on. 2 seconds later, Chamberlain's fouled, he plays on, and then something happens and he gives them the free kick or something like that. It was just he was going along with their I was play acting too hard.
Yeah, he was getting. I think he was getting sucked into it a little bit more. I think some referees in Europe don't buy into it, and they kind of know what to expect when they go to these places where he seemed naive. Would probably be the best way to describe it.
Yeah, for me, he seemed unqualified. I've got no background on him whatsoever. I don't know what top level matches he's officiated, but this one felt like it was out of his depth for me. He felt like it was above his level. He didn't have the necessary coolness, composure to actually assess decisions from a complete objective standpoint.
Yeah.
So obviously, when you're playing in the ground like that, against a team like that, and all those things are going against you, it's going to be really difficult to get a result, especially if you go a goal down.
Yeah, I agree, mate.
And I think one of the reasons, I mean, we've got to touch on Klopp's substitutes, but one of the reasons that supposedly that he took Sadio Mane off was because of fear of him getting a red card, and that probably ties in with the referee and how, all over the place the referee seemed to be.
That would make a little bit more sense.
Yeah,
substitution.
Yeah, when that happened, I must admit I was surprised because we obviously need a goal and it's Mane.
Yeah,
but at the same time, it probably is wise if you step back from it and think to yourself, you just don't want to go down to 10 men.
Yeah, you don't want to go down to 10 men, and plus there is a second leg to be played, isn't it? At the end of the day, so. It didn't need to be all there and now. It's a 180-minute game. It's about kind of, I don't know, anticipating what's to come, preparing and keeping your best players available. And what I will say is, look, I'm not a big fan of him in terms of his overall ability, but Origi does have a knack of scoring big goals, doesn't he? So if he would have come on and scored yesterday, you would have labelled it as classic Origi. So maybe he just thought something a little bit different. Yeah,
maybe it crossed Klopp's mind as well, the fact that it's that stadium.
Yeah,
and he's obviously last time he was there, he scored the winning goal, I suppose.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
but beyond that substitution, he took Mo Salah off on the 72nd minute.
Yeah,
and when he was forced into taking Jordan Henderson off, he brought on James Milner, and I couldn't get my head around it. I really couldn't get my head around it.
Did you feel like he'd stop? He didn't want to pursue the victory too much, or get something back? Sorry,
maybe that was what it was. Yeah, maybe he was just a 1-0 isn't the end of the world, but I just didn't get it.
Do you think, bearing in mind how difficult they were and how they set up, do you think bringing someone like Keita in would have been a better move?
That's what I would have done, yeah. My move would have been Keita.
Someone who can dribble the ball and kind of bypass players a little bit.
Someone who's just
the rigid structure.
Yeah, someone who's just generally unorthodox. He's just, Pep Linders described him as, I think he said he adds unpredictability to our build-up. He said that once. And that's the type of player he is. And when you're coming up against a rigid 4-4-2 block, and you've got a player who can just do alternative things to anyone else, I would have brought Keita on for Henderson. And in terms of taking Salah off, my only guess regarding that would be Atletico had a clear plan for him.
Yeah.
And Klopp just wanted to bring on more unpredictability / fluidity in terms of positions, just players running everywhere. So just bring on a load of, players that don't really have set positions, I suppose, but to take off your most dangerous player, the player that we paint on this show all the time as an output merchant, a proper delivery player.
Yeah.
I didn't. Why take him off?
You know what? What else with those two players? I use this term a lot. I'd call them moments players as well. Players who just can produce a moment to score the goal from nowhere, and without them on the pitch, you're missing that, really, aren't you? Firmino, maybe he could do something, but if you look at the starting 11 with those two off the pitch, there's not really anybody who could just kind of produce that unique moment of brilliance.
No, it really was a strange one. Couldn't get my head around it at the time, and I thought the substitutions made us overall more toothless, which is a strange thing to do considering you're away at Atletico Madrid, the best defence in Europe, arguably, with chasing a goal, almost. So what are your thoughts anyway then? What are your thoughts on the balance of the tie? And without going into great detail, because we obviously will do it in about a month's time, I suppose, whenever it is. General thoughts on the second leg? So
I did look into this briefly. One thing I will say was it was from a Liverpool point of view, it was disappointing that they lose the game without scoring, but that's nothing new. Including last night's game, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. The Atletico Madrid have kept 7 clean sheets in 8 Champions League home games. The only side to score there was Juventus. They scored 2 couple seasons ago. So Atletico Madrid have previous in taking the lead into a second leg or winning the home leg. But if you have a look at the away legs, it's not as good at all. There's another 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So looking at the last 7 away Champions League games that Atletico Madrid, they've only won 2. They've lost 1, 2, 3, 4 and drew another, and they only kept 2 clean sheets from those 7 away legs. So it feels like this kind of
I didn't know that. That's wonderful to hear.
Yeah. So
go on.
This kind of sitting deep, soaking up, letting the opposition have all the territory seems to work brilliantly at home, but away from home it doesn't seem to work as well. In fact, Bayer Leverkusen scored twice, Juventus scored 3, Borussia Dortmund scored 4. You know, it doesn't seem to be as unbreakable when they take it on the road. And I think when you're going to, for me, the toughest place in Europe at the moment, Anfield, I think they're going to struggle to replicate what they did at home away at Liverpool.
Yeah. No, that's good to hear. Like
that's the first time I've seen you smile all morning.
No, because I'm just a bit more. I am genuinely concerned. Like when we took Barcelona back to Anfield last season, you know you will get chances at Barcelona, and you know that the general atmosphere in the stadium, the crowd, and all that stuff, you can make a team shrink.
Yeah.
Atletico don't look the type to me to shrink. They look equally as intense and equally as spirited and all that stuff. This season I looked at their results, tweeted last night. So by my count they've played, excluding the Liverpool game, by my count they've played, I think it was 33 times in all competitions this season. They've won by 3 goals 0 times. They've won by 2 goals 6 times. They've won by 1 goal 8 times, 12 draws, 5 losses by 1 goal. And then what Liverpool need, which is Atletico to lose by 2, that's only happened twice. And they're yet to lose by 3. So, as I said, 33 matches, they've lost by 2 goals twice. And they're just not the type of team. That the main thing with the whole Anfield factor, will the team basically flap it? Will the team completely bottle it, sort of thing? And they just don't look like the bottlers to me. They just don't look like that type.
Yeah, even if they concede, you don't then think that they'll start to panic. They
just look grindy and
reset,
horrible and that sort of thing. It's just going to be a tricky one. I am concerned, but I do fancy Liverpool to score eventually. I don't think they will score, but it's getting the second, and then obviously if you can't get the second and it goes to extra time, then you get to the point of complete randomness and it can happen.
Yeah.
Penalties.
Yeah. It's
not under your control, and that's what I said in my preview of this a couple of weeks ago. My worry was that it's going to last 180 minutes at least, and once you get to that kind of the dying moments, it's out of your control and anything can happen.
Yeah. No, listen, I understand your fears. I'll try and reassure you that I think Liverpool will still get through.
I'm gonna go with you. I think at the minute, without going into great detail, I do think we will find a way, but I do think it's going to be hard. I don't think we'll steamroll them like we steamrolled Barca or Villarreal a few years ago, I think it'll be tough.
Yeah, I think Liverpool do just enough. I think they'll win 2-0. We'll save this all for preview, but as Atletico Madrid, I pointed out how many goals they conceded on the road. Across those same 7 games, they failed to score in 4 of the games. So, you know, they're not proficient in attack on the road. So, yeah, I must say, I think Liverpool are capable of scoring more than one and capable of shutting them out. So,
I will say as well, I think the tempo of our play, I expected it to be quicker. Away from home, it wasn't. It was quite slow, I thought. At Anfield, that goes to a different level.
Yeah.
I've spoken in previous episodes about, you know, what the whole Gear 5 Liverpool would look like. And I think at Anfield would have the platform to basically up the tempo to a level that maybe Atletico aren't used to dealing with in Spain. Just completely relentless intensity, wave after wave of attack until you finally find a way through. So, be interesting to see how it goes. It's going to be a tough one, but we don't have to properly preview it yet. We've got a few weeks for that.
We'll save that.
But thanks for joining us anyway, Dave. Hopefully we'll get a win against West Ham as well. Obviously we're not talking about that one, but yeah, thanks for joining us.
Yeah, cheers, mate. Thanks for
and we will be back next week. Thanks.